Letitia James, New York's self-anointed avenging angel, has pretty much shredded through her AG tenure drunk on her own arrogance, so blinded by her vendetta against Trump that she thought she could prosecute a former president for crimes she was pulling off herself, all while smirking as if her moral high ground was bulletproof. Yet she pretty much thought nobody would dare flip over her carefully polished stones, but ho, how the mighty fall. Her fantasy of locking up Trump has twisted into her own personal horror show. However, yeah, there's a however, the Biden-appointed judge overseeing her case might just be the get-out-of-jail-free card that she's counting on. Now, as for the media, they're in full meltdown mode. I mean, CNN and MSNBC, they're just one couch short of an entire therapy ward. They are just wailing over their fallen idol, the woman they swore would finally cage Trump. Well, guess what? Like every Democratic scheme, it backfired spectacularly. And if you're here for it, hit that like button for me. Also, let me know down below if you think this case ends in conviction. And quick heads up, you want to stick through this entire episode. I have a clip for you from last night's debate between the two candidates that are now running for governor in Virginia. And this clip is going to blow your mind. I have never seen this happen on a debate stage in my entire life. But before we get to that, remember the media was popping champagne after Trump was indicted?
Trump hasn't spent much time in New York lately, except that is to get convicted of 34 felonies. And that's just fine with us.
Yeah, well, now that it's Letitia James, they're popping antacid pills like it's election night in 2016 all over again. And their panic? It couldn't fall flatter if it tried. Remember when Big Tish parked herself in the VIP section for Trump's big courtroom debut, looking like the cat that ate the canary? And then plot twist, the universe dropped a mirror in her lap after saying this.
No matter how powerful you are, no matter how much money you think you may have, no one is above the law.
Well, now the shoe is on the other foot, and Letitia James, she's the star of her own perp walk. The New York Attorney General now facing criminal charges. Count 1, bank fraud. Count 2, false statements to a financial institution. That's not creative accounting. That's a straight-up felony. And who's overseeing the case? Oh, this is convenient. Biden-appointed Judge Jamar Walker. Walker is Virginia's first openly gay federal judge who was fast-tracked in the DOJ system. Now, he just spent 8 years as an assistant when the average, ready for this, 12 to 20 years. He also skipped the supervisory ladder, never serving as a deputy, section head, or even U.S. attorney. In other words, he was vaulted to the federal bench in record time. That's not a disqualifier, but it definitely raises questions about how much courtroom management experience he brings into a case that's this big. Now, some are also whispering it's the result of that 3-letter acronym that starts with a D, ends with an I. You know, that he's young, black, gay, checks all the boxes. Now, I can't prove that, but when the average DOJ climb takes twice as long, you gotta ask, what's the rush? Now, as for Letitia James, she's suddenly wailing about weaponizing the justice system, which is rich coming from the woman who practically authored the playbook.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding, all because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General.
Oh, Tish, if doing your job means turning the AG's office into a one-woman crusade against Trump, then the Fed's taking notes? That's not weaponization, it's karma with a badge. And the media, I mean, they have lost their ever-loving minds defending her. Casey Hunt over at CNN, she is now spinning this idea that every American with a mortgage is suddenly a felon in waiting. I mean, the hall monitor who tattled on everyone else just got hauled to the principal's office, and now the rules suddenly are unfair. Good luck selling that one to the American people. But Casey Hunt at this point, I mean, she's auditioning for Dumbest Anchor Alive against Abby Phillip. Spoiler, I think it may be a tie now.
Tish James, and again, we're still getting the details, but if it's related to this mortgage issue, I mean, this is something that everyone in America, or many people at least, if you're lucky enough to be able to buy a house in America, you deal with this, right? The federal government doesn't go after all of these people for doing this.
So wait, is she confessing to mortgage fraud now? I mean, maybe somebody should, oh, I don't know, investigate her. The woman is so tone deaf she could make a smoke alarm sound musical. Casey, ask yourself, how many Americans do you think can just casually buy multiple homes? I mean, if you can afford 2 houses, you can afford the right interest rate. And if you have to lie on your loan app to make it happen, maybe you're not exactly a defender of justice. Maybe you're just a hypocrite with a mortgage problem. Casey, also, I don't know if you forgot about this little gem from your buddy Tish back in 2024, but she literally wrote, quote, "When powerful people cheat to get better loans, it comes at the expense of hardworking people. Everyday Americans cannot lie to a bank to get a mortgage. And if they did, our government would throw the book at them. There simply cannot be different rules for different people." Well, someone might want to print that out and read it slowly to the folks over at MSNBC because they have officially hit rock bottom and started digging.
The days of the Department of Justice and the rules that everyone keeps citing to me, well, the rules of this, the rules of that, those rules, that rule book is gone. Okay, those rules are gone. This is a president who believes he controls the Department of Justice and he decides who's guilty, who's innocent, who gets indicted, and who gets prosecuted. And if we don't all wake up to that, then we're going to keep having this conversation about who checked what box on a form. Nothing about who checked what box on a form is what this case is about.
Actually, that's exactly what this case is about. Who checked what box on a form? A grand jury, I mean, they saw enough evidence to invite her, so maybe the rules aren't gone after all. And let's not forget, it was Biden's DOJ that raided Mar-a-Lago, not Trump, so spare us the lecture about selective enforcement. I was really hoping after a good night's sleep, the media's reaction might improve a little bit. It got worse. MSNBC now trying to argue that Letitia James is too clueless to understand how to fill out a mortgage application, yet somehow brilliant enough to serve as the Attorney General of New York. So which is it? Either she's a legal mastermind or a mortgage moron. Pick one because you can't have both. Watch this.
The key issue, obviously, in this case is going to be, do they have evidence of criminal intent? Do they have evidence that she knowingly misrepresented to the banks? Or was it just a paperwork error? Or was it inadvertent? Or did she or people associated with her not understand the rules here? All of those are possibilities. All of those are defenses. Anyone who's filled out mortgage documents knows this is a complex world.
And let's be clear, she definitely knew the rules when she was prosecuting President Trump. In fact, she bought that second home while she was going after him. So that whole "she didn't understand the paperwork" excuse does not hold a drop of water. Now, if convicted, bank fraud, it carries a penalty of up to 30 years in prison, though as a first-time offender, she's unlikely to get that full sentence. So her first court appearance is set for October 24th. Let's see if the media can pull themselves together before then, but honestly, don't bet your house on it. Over in Virginia, the governor's race got extremely awkward last night at the debate. Democrat candidate Abigail Spanberger struggled to answer several questions. It was really tough to watch. The first was whether or not she would rescind Governor Youngkin's administration policy requiring boys and girls to use bathrooms that are aligning with their biological sex. Take a look.
My priority would be to ensure that local communities, importantly parents and teachers and educators, are able to work together to meet the unique needs of each school and each community. And that is important. And I say that as a mother of 3 daughters in Virginia public schools.
Exactly.
And as someone who used to investigate crimes against children. The way that we keep our children safe is by ensuring they are safe in schools, which includes funding law enforcement and public safety.
But Ms. Spanberger, the question was, would you rescind the Youngkin administration policy requiring boys and girls to use bathrooms aligning with their biological sex? You have 15 seconds to clarify that question.
Yes, and my answer is that in each local community, decisions should be made between parents and educators and teachers in each community.
So that sounds like a yes, right? She would allow boys to go into girls' bathrooms if schools felt that was appropriate. Now, things only went downhill from there. Watch as she's confronted about the Democrat candidate for Attorney General in her state, Jay Jones, who was just exposed for sending text messages that suggested the killing of a Republican lawmaker and his young children. Jones is someone Abigail Spanberger endorsed before the news of the message broke, and it sounds like she doesn't regret that decision.
I didn't hear an answer there on the endorsement issue, so I want to just make sure. Will you continue to endorse Jay Jones to be the next Attorney General of Virginia? And were you aware of these text messages before they released?
And I denounced them as soon as I learned of them.
She denounces murder.
And
Earl Sayers,
importantly, at this point, as we move forward, the voters now have this information that was withheld for them.
You're running to
presumably for
Ms. Earl
political
Sayers,
reasons. But the voters now have the information, and it is up to voters to make an individual choice based on this information.
I understand what you're saying about the voters, but for you yourself, do you still continue to endorse Jay Jones? 15 seconds, yes or no?
I We are all running our individual races. I believe my opponent has said that about her lieutenant governor nominee.
Ms. Earl Sayers,
And it's
Ms.
up
Earl
to
Sayers.
every person to make their own decision.
What you're saying is that as of now, you still endorse Jay Jones as Attorney General.
I'm saying as of now, it's up to every voter to make their own individual decision. I am running for governor. I am accountable for the words that I say, for the acts that I take, for the policies that I have put out.
Thank you.
I am responsible for the policies I put out and the work I will endeavor to do tirelessly for the people of Virginia.
You want to run an entire state, lead the people of Virginia, but you can't even summon the basic courage to withdraw your support for a candidate that is basically calling for political violence? Who on your campaign staff thought this was smart PR? Because it's not just tone deaf, it's dangerous. And somehow, it actually got worse. When she was pressed point blank by her opponent, Winsome Earl Sears, Abigail Spanberger froze. I'm talking like a deer in headlights, silent, motionless. She looked completely paralyzed. Watch this.
I'm wondering why my opponent won't say beyond it's abhorrent and disgusting, why she won't say it is not okay and that he must leave the race because Jay Jones advocated the murder, Abigail, the murder of a man, a former speaker, as well as his children who were 2 and 5 years old. You have little girls. What would it take him pulling the trigger? Is that what would do it? And then you would say he needs to get out of the race? Abigail, you have nothing to say? Abigail, what if he said it about your 3 children? Is that when you would say he should get out of the race, Abigail? You're running to be governor.
How do you stand on a stage asking Virginians to trust you with their safety, their children, their future, while you say nothing about a man on your own side calling for murder? This should be the easiest moral test in politics, and yet Democrats just keep failing it. They're so terrified of angering their radical base, they'd rather burn their credibility to the ground than speak 1 ounce of truth. I mean, what exactly does the far left have on these people? Are they being blackmailed? Because they sure don't act like leaders. I mean, they're acting like hostages at this point. The whole thing just defies logic and common sense. And speaking of head scratchers, washed up CNN mouthpiece Don Lemon, he decided to play journalist again. He grabbed a mic, he strutted into the heart of America, and he thought he'd catch a few everyday folks trashing President Trump. But instead of the smug little soundbite he was hunting for, Lemon got an education. What he ran into wasn't hate, it was heart. Proud, patriotic black men standing tall, speaking truth, and refusing to let the media twist their story.
How do you feel about the ICE raids?
The who?
ICE raids.
Like
immigration.
I feel good about them.
Yeah, you want them to crack down?
More, yes.
You do?
Yes, been wanting it for years, all my life.
And what about them like roughing people up?
Nah, that shit crazy. Don't put your hands on nobody. That's crazy. Don't hurt nobody. Do it the legal way.
But that's what they're doing, though.
That shit ugly. Then no, I don't feel great about that. I mean, don't hurt nobody. At the same time, get them out of here. Get them all out of here. Please and thank you. Trump 4 more years for that.
Did you
just for that? Just
Did
for
you vote for him?
No, hell no. I can't vote. I lost my voting rights when I was 22 years old. I apologize.
You went away?
Yeah, for assault and battery.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you said 4 more years for Trump?
Just because I want him to concentrate on nothing but immigration and getting them out of here.
The left's playbook is collapsing in real time. I mean, they've spent decades treating black communities like voting cattle, hurting them with empty promises, and then they just disappear after Election Day. Well, guess what? People are rejecting the Democrat plantation mindset and demanding real change because it's the hardworking folks in these minority neighborhoods who bear the brunt of open border chaos, the skyrocketing crime, strained resources, jobs that are stolen right out from under them, which, speaking of, Don Lemon then pressed about the contributions some illegals are making to our economy. This guy, still not having it.
You don't think they contribute to the economy at all?
Of course they do. Of course they have. At the same time, think about the people who wasn't able to contribute because the immigrants was there. Now the people who's here legally, like me, I guess you, him, can't do that job because them people who are illegal are doing it, which is not cool for us.
You know they're having trouble filling jobs. They can't find people to fill jobs.
Shit,
they're getting rid of so many people.
Okay, what kind of jobs are they,
All over in the service industry and farming.
Because it's like everybody got to reset. They're going to reset themselves. That's all they got to do.
The left loves peddling this fairy tale that illegals are the only ones willing to sweat for low wages. But this guy nails it. We've got to flip the script and make those jobs irresistible for citizens. Pay fair wages, provide better conditions, no more corporate greed exploiting cheaper labor at our expense. So it's time to hit that big red reset button on the economy, deport the invaders, empower Americans, and watch prosperity explode. But Lemon? He's still clinging to his debunked talking points like a life raft in a hurricane. Now watch as this guy tells Lemon straight to his face that he's lying when he tries to claim Americans are going to starve without illegals.
They need undocumented immigrants in order to get food to your table.
It's not true, bro. It's not true.
No, that is true.
That's not true, bro. That's not
you don't want to get facts.
There ain't no American born and raised here that won't do the job. They crazy as hell. I know lots of them in my projects. Trust and believe me. And all I know is that I'll get a job. I'll take the job. I do like 15, like the Jamaicans. I have 15 different jobs. I do one of theirs.
Lemon went fishing for sob stories about migrants, and he hooked a fighter who's all in for MAGA self-reliance. I mean, he later then made another attempt to draw out hate from Trump, but instead he found a Democrat who had nothing but kind things to say about how he was treated at a predominantly MAGA event. Watch him get caught off guard as this man tells him the world isn't as racist as the Democrats want you to believe.
We're talking about the current environment, political environment. How are you feeling about that?
Unsettled and reassured by humanity is the short answer.
What do you mean by that?
So this weekend I was at a NASCAR race, and obviously there's some stigma attached to NASCAR. And what was really clear to me is that in the end, people are people. And whether you look a certain type of way, whether you're wearing a certain color hat, whether you're not, when you are at an event and there's a shared love and a shared intersection, people really just end up being people, right? And I was really warmed and taken back by my own preconceived notations of what I should be expecting.
Talk about a plot twist, right? I mean, Lemon is at what he assumes is a liberal safe space event, and this guy drops a heartwarming bombshell. MAGA folks aren't the monsters the media paints them to be. They're welcoming, respectful, and all about unity when treated the same. The left is the one who torches everything in sight. Arson on Teslas, assaults on cops, campus thuggery against Jews, assassinations of free thinkers, flag-burning riots, and citywide chaos. What do? Hold peaceful vigils, even when the libs trash them. We sing hymns in the face of evil and stand firm for faith and freedom. So yeah, a black man walks into a NASCAR crowd with respect and walks out with friends, proving once again that the real racists are the ones screaming racism to divide us. Now, if you missed yesterday's video, you can check it out now. It covers the details of President Trump's peace deal with Hamas, plus Senator Markwayne Mullin. He exposes the Democrats' plan for the shutdown. This will blow your mind. There is a reason that they are keeping it shut down. It's not because of healthcare. It's something else. Go ahead, click on that video you see now on your screen, and I'll see you over there. Happy Friday, everybody. Thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your day.